there's a lot of chatter around Arizona. They're expected to be the worst team in football. Their win total is 2 full wins, lower than any other team in the league. And what are they doing? They're trading away players right now. Right now, this is their time. Let's trade a starting offensive lineman. I know we stink, but let's completely clean house. They trade a first-round pick in Isaiah Simmons for a 7th rounder. They trade offensive tackle Josh Jones and a pick for a 5th rounder. They bring in Joshua Dobbs last week. I mean, that was a big sign, I would think, that, Kyler Murray, we're not going to see him anytime soon. And when you have a new regime and you have this quarterback that has the reputation of not being the hardest worker, which is what you need, like you hear with the stories with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, that's getting a ton of money right now. Are they going to move on? And that chatter's been going on. With all this noise around Arizona and the idea that they might be in tank mode right now. Not like what the Bears did when they decided to tank in the middle of the season. They traded everything away, and they did get that number 1 pick. They might be in tank mode going into the season. We made our case for Arizona 4.5, over 4.5. BetMGM has a 3.5 now. With all this going on with the Cardinals and everything we're hearing, are you saying, let's back away from that over? I am starting to see some people that I do respect bet under 4.5 on the Cardinals.
Of all the bets out there that are available pertaining to Garrett Wilson, I don't like any of them. And it's not necessarily because of value, but I feel like that Garrett Wilson is not going to be nearly as big of an impact player as a lot of folks believe. One of the things that I love doing in terms of evaluating receivers, I look at weighted opportunity ratings from last year. You're looking at air yard share, target share, all that good stuff. Garrett Wilson last season, bad quarterback play and all, he ranked 24th in terms of weighted opportunity ratings. So, yeah, the Jets utilized him a good bit, but he wasn't utilized nearly as much as, say, some of the other wide receiver ones out there in the NFL, like a Devontae Adams and guys like that. Garrett Wilson was fairly far down the list. In terms of most receiving yards, no value to me. Most reception offers, no value. His yardage total is 1125.5. I like the under or no play because there are other receivers I feel like Aaron Rodgers could go to. And the only way that I think Garrett Wilson offers some value is if he turns out to be Devontae Adams. If he is of that caliber, then I think it's okay. There are just so many other receivers in the NFL right now who get a lot more attention, get a lot more of the air yard share for their particular team, and they have more highly weighted opportunities. So I can't proclaim Garrett Wilson as the next great wide receiver 1, especially in that particular system, especially when we know that Aaron Rodgers, sometimes likes to diversify. Sometimes he finds his ace in the hole and will go in that direction. But we don't know if Garrett Wilson is that guy yet.
I think, necessary leap that Justin Fields would have to make. He was about 10% less accurate than any other quarterback in the NFL. And in the areas which do develop things like decision-making and throwing to open and closed windows, Justin Fields actually threw to the fewest closed windows of any quarterback last year. If someone was covered, he just took off. So I think there's kind of less room for development in the classical areas of development, or the things that most quarterbacks grow in. All of that comes with a caveat of part of this piece was also understanding that things are at a trade-off with one another, and Justin Fields' situation is obviously very different this year. He's playing with much better receivers in what should be a full year of Darnell Mooney, obviously DJ Moore being the big addition there, and Chase Claypool as well. The area that would concern me is Justin Fields is the type of passer, because he's such a good scrambler, and he does a lot of creating for himself. In those areas, your wide receivers and your offensive line actually matter less. If you look at things like PFF grade or rates of perfectly blocked runs or perfectly blocked passes, even though the Bears' offensive line is not grading well by any metric, just by virtue of Justin Fields' presence in the pocket, or I should say his ability to scramble and the threat of the run, the offensive line grades out really well. even though the individuals that comprise them are not necessarily winning on a play-to-play matchup. In the same way that the Bears wide receivers, while no talent beaters, they were open at the 8th highest rate, because if you're holding on to the ball for as long as Justin Fields is, you're going to have open receivers by virtue of 4 seconds on an NFL football field. Guys are going to get open. All of that is to say, I'm not so sure Fields has the room to improve, and I don't think the supporting cast matters as much for Fields as it would a Kirk Cousins, a Matthew Stafford, or Ryan Tannehill. And that would concern me, because in order for if Justin Fields made the same leap in accuracy as Josh Allen did, which was completely unprecedented, a 10% leap, that would put him at about the same range as Bailey Zappi and Joe Flacco last year. There's huge room to grow for Fields in order for him to kind of take that next step. And I'm a little skeptical that he'll do that. But, I think the same thing we said about Anthony Richardson is true of Justin Fields, which is that he has such an elite trait, that ability to scramble, that ability to turn what most other quarterbacks would have as a sack or a throwaway, and turn that into a 70-yard scramble touchdown. That elite trait is not something to be taken lightly. And if all of the other stuff, if that 75% of those other plays can kind of get marginally better, I think we should definitely see improvement. And of course, the supporting cast will help in that way.
The Cubs are playing good ball. They just can't gain any ground because Milwaukee won't lose. In their last 12 series, there was a 3-game series. They lost 2 of 3 to the Mets, and they split a 2-gamer against the White Sox, and they've won the other 10. And they're still 4 games back. They've been 3.5 to 4 games back forever, it feels like. So you wonder if they're ever going to be able to break through. I still agree with the organization, their decision to buy in. But, I'm starting to look at that number of 4. I'm like, God, you keep winning series, and you can't gain on them. It's a bit of a problem. But, yeah, so.
And not only that, Joe, that, but, like, it was at 2.5, it seemed like, for a while. And I was frustrated with that number, and now it's worse. So, I mean, if for no other reason, if intrinsically I had some concerns when the margin was smaller, now I'm really worried about it. And then I go to individual matchups like the one today, and I go, I'm not feeling it at this point, and we are running out of time.
Am I overreacting by saying this is a must-win series in August?
No, I don't think you are.
Okay.
I think this is must-win for Chicago. Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. If the Cubs don't win this series, I think we're going to be wrong on that play. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think so.
That's just Milwaukee just won't give in.